And we're back for another fun Power Hour podcast where I've got my brother, Abraham Antonucci. Hey, thanks for joining me.
Oh, man, this is great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Next home destination. I hear you guys are just going crazy. I want to hear more about like the real estate market. And what's the Bozeman market doing? I hear the interest rates dropped.
Yeah, so today, a little bit of a price drop for the cost of money, let's call it. So I've heard maybe around 6.8, and it was hovering over 7 last week. So definitely loosens up the availability to purchase a home right now. So your money's goes a little bit further. So
Right. And what is your opinion for, I guess, the forecast? The graduation just happened, correct?
MSU, Montana State University's graduated last week, I believe it is, and then orientation starts this week for MSU parents coming into town. So going to start to get busy here. All the flights are going to start landing in Bozeman Airport, Yellowstone International Airport, and then it's going to be
What's your thoughts? Is that where it's going to start getting busier, or what's it looking like?
I think it's going to be a combination of lower interest rates and people starting to feel a little bit more sassy about the real estate market.
Right.
With spring, it's kind of the rise and fall of housing inventory. So you're going to start to see more homes come online as we get warmer weather. It'll probably peak about June, July, and then it's kind of like a perfect curve. And then it starts to deaccelerate back towards January with less people wanting to move.
Almost
in
like
the winter months.
Like a bell curve then, huh?
Pretty much like a basic bell curve. It was been thrown off the last 2 or 3 years with COVID because if you remember, we were all trapped in our houses in 2020.
Right.
In June, July, and then finally we were able to go outside. And so that curve got really shifted. So like January of 2020 was one of our, or not 2020, December of 2020 was like our busiest month.
Really?
It peaked out and then it started to deaccelerate towards 2021. And then as soon as spring came in 2021, it was just straight up,
back up.
straight up.
Off to the races.
Off to the races all of 2021. Clear till about August 2022 when the interest rates just went sky high, almost to 8.
Right. And they were just hovering at 8, weren't they? And then they just dropped back down.
Yeah, that was, last week we were in the 7s again. So
wow. And now they're sitting, what, 6.75?
6.875, something like that today.
Wow. And do you think just the drop of 1 point will affect the real estate market?
Huge difference.
Huge.
Psychological difference between 6s and 7s. If we hit 5s again, we would run out of inventory in probably a couple weeks.
Oh, brings me to the next question. What's the inventory looking like?
Bozeman city limits right now is about 3 months. Healthy's probably 4 to 6 months. So kind of like where we would like to see it.
Okay.
Homes are staying on the market. Single family, 9 days.
9 days. Now
that's Bozeman city limits. So
is that a price range that's kind of sitting in that 9-day range, or
Nope.
It doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Wow.
So some are going in 1 day. Some might go in 30 days. Some might go in 60. But the median is 9 days.
9 days. And what's that median market price looking like?
Single family in April was about 780,000. Already in May, we're seeing closer to 910,000.
Wow. That's the
single
median.
Family median.
Oh my gosh. What would you have to make in to afford a house like that?
Your household income for $1 million almost property, you should probably bring in about $20,000 a month.
$20,000.
So a household,
you got to make $250,000 a year.
Yeah, depending on how much money you bring to the table.
And are those jobs in Bozeman, or is that outside money?
A little bit of both. We're seeing like definitely self-employed people that have their own business can swing that. But you're talking probably a principal and a chief of police combined salaries or something like that can probably swing $1 million.
Wow.
If you were able to come from out of state and bring 250, 500,000, that definitely helps.
Right.
But not everyone can do that. So
do you find it's pushing the natives out of Bozeman?
Yeah, our sphere of influence, our family and friends have less that can probably afford to stay here.
Hmm.
So a lot of them are refinancing their homes and taking money out and doing remodels, doing whatever they can to stay here locally.
Right. Right. And is that affecting the school system? Are you noticing? I know you used to be a police officer, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
For 7 years.
what do you think happens when you start getting this divide in Bozeman?
I don't know if I'm seeing a divide. I think that, the schools, our Bozeman school districts do a really great job.
Hmm.
Whether you are here for the first time and speak English as your second language, to established families, our principals and teachers, you've probably experienced,
Right.
do a great job with
Yeah.
resources,
Yeah.
school lunch. My kids play with kids that just moved in, days before and speak Spanish.
Right.
And treat them the same as kids that they've known their whole lives. So very, very well integrated community.
Yeah.
Culturally, I think as adults we start to see those differences, but as kids, I think they just see each other as kids.
They're more accepting.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a lot of events that are happening in Bozeman. I think coming up in the next week or two, I believe the Spartan race. Is that correct?
Yeah, Spartan race is going to be bringing a couple thousand people to Bozeman.
A couple thousand. I think. How many are racing? Isn't there?
A couple thousand. So with family,
plus
friends, it's probably going to be
tens of thousands.
Probably tens of thousands of people visiting. Yeah.
Wow. And then Bozeman enacted, I believe it was last year, the Airbnb restriction.
Yeah, short-term rentals is another hot topic around town for real estate. So that has added some units to the market. Basically, in a nutshell, Bozeman is pretty much banned short-term rentals in the city unless you live there and rent out like a bedroom or an ADU or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's made it really difficult. Now,
has Bozeman implemented those new rules, or it's something that they're phasing in?
No, as of November 2023, that's the rules.
Wow.
They grandfathered, I think 100 units.
Wow.
And so
those were all the people on the list before some
they'd already applied for the permit through the city, and so I think they're keeping 100 of them.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I bet people are just furious about that, the ones that are 101 on that list.
Yeah, and if you sell that, my understanding is the next buyer can't.
It's not transferable.
Yeah, they just don't get the next use for it. So,
well, I appreciate you coming down, kind of give us the highlights of Bozeman, the real estate and the growth, and the Spartan race coming up. And so we'd love to have you back on.
Sounds good.
And kind of give us that heartbeat, what's going on in Bozeman real estate.
Yeah, look forward for May and June. You're going to see some more properties coming on. So
awesome.
Thanks, Alden.
Well, I appreciate everyone watching. Stay tuned for the next Alden Antonucci with Abraham Antonucci on Extreme Power Hour Podcast.
See you more next time.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.